Yes.
You know that when something comes in your mind, I should eat this and I should eat that, or I should make a mess and stuff. You know that you should listen to intelligence, but how do you know which voice is intelligence?
How do we know the difference between mind and intelligence is your question? That's your question? That's a nice question.
Thank you.
What do you use as differentiating between mind and intelligence? You're not sure. Well, okay. Some definitions, if it's okay. They're functions of the mind. They're described generally in two different ways: accepting, rejecting. Accepting, rejecting. Sankalpa, vikalpa. Accepting, rejecting. And the basis of accepting or rejecting on the platform of the mind, if you're in material consciousness, is, does it feel good? Does it make me happy? Am I enjoying yet? You've heard that one. Are we having fun yet? That's the mind. Then you accept or you reject based upon the senses, the enjoyment of the senses, commonly in material conception, accepting, rejecting. And then the intelligence is interacting with the mind. The intelligence, what does the intelligence do? It discriminates between this and that, one thing and another thing. When someday maybe, in school or somewhere along the way, you'll take an IQ test. What an IQ test is, it's analyzing your capacity to see the difference between one thing and another thing. Discernment. It's generally like multiple choice things. Here's like 4 things, and which ones is different than the other 3. So selecting what's discerning one thing from another thing. And they do it purposefully anyway, without all the details of how they do it. That's what they're doing. So the intelligence is discriminating between one thing, and discriminating in a good sense, not like racial discrimination, that's in a bad sense. Just discriminating one thing from another thing. Like, a child is, everything goes to the mouth. You've seen that? And then eventually they learn, shoes go on your feet, not in your mouth. And that's my mom, and I respect my mom in a certain way, and anyway, not like, pull her face, and because kids don't discriminate. Just there's an object and they grab the object, and so making distinctions between one thing and another thing. It's development of intelligence. And then the mind is, I like it, I don't like it. So they're connected. The intelligence is discriminating one thing for another thing, and the mind is, I like it, I don't like it. Accepting, rejecting. Or another way of describing what the mind does is in phases. Thinking about something. You contemplate something. Then you have some feelings about that something that you're contemplating. And then there's a desire to have or to get rid of that something. Let's say, if I just started talking about, I'm thirsty. I'm not thirsty. But supposing I just started thinking about, gee, I'm thirsty, and here's some water, and here's something that's warm. And before I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm just absorbed in. And if I start thinking about it, then maybe it's desire. Maybe I need some water. And then the desire, here we go. So before there's activity with the gross senses, there's what the mind does in sequence: thinking, feeling, willing. That's a mind function. The intelligence is discriminating. This one's cold, this one's hot. Discriminating one thing from another thing. So then the mind says, well, which one do I like? I like the hot one. But I need the intelligence to tell me which one is the cold one, which one is the hot one. The mind says, I like one or the other one. Or I don't like either of them, I want a third thing. That's the mind. They work together. Now, when you become a devotee, because you're becoming a devotee, right? You're trying. We're all trying to become devotees. So now, the contemplation is, for a devotee, the mind contemplates, what is Krishna like? Whoa! That's a nice contemplation. Because that's love. You're thinking about the beloved, the object of love, and what's pleasing to the object of love, and that's where the mind goes. It accepts that one. That's the mind. And then if something isn't pleasing to Krishna, the mind doesn't go there. It rejects it. Sankalpa, vikalpa, accepting, rejecting. That's when you're a devotee, or becoming a devotee. Then the intelligence is just discerning or discriminating one thing from another thing. Like, how you dress at school. Or what you eat at school. And the other kids may eat whatever they eat at school. But you're really clear, no thank you. Some of those things. And I'm fine with what I have. That's the mind is saying I'm accepting. But the intelligence is discriminating one thing from another thing. And so we use our faculty of mind, accepting, rejecting, and intelligence discriminating one thing from another thing, based upon what's, Krishna is at the center for us. And fortunately we have devotees of Krishna to help us understand what Krishna likes. And how do you do it? How do you grow up in the modern world as a little girl, and you got all kinds of other people that don't know anything about life of devotion to Krishna, and I want to be devoted to Krishna. How do I do that? You have people that can help show by example and teach and train, and you have representatives of Krishna to work with, resources that are there from Krishna, and see them that way. So I make this is a mind function. I accept as my closest friends those that respect the values of devotion to Krishna. I'm friendly to other kids. I'm not mean or cold or dismissive. I'm polite, but the ones that are the close friends, they're the ones that accept the values that I have. Because my intelligence says I want to do that which is pleasing to Krishna.